Hey, excuse me. Hey, twin. I'm good. How are you? I wasn't feeling well earlier. I had a lot of sinus pressure. So I'm trying to get myself together. I'm trying to get it together, child. Because I was dealing with sinuses earlier. Just hard headed. That too. You said, now wasn't I talking about sinuses? Yes, you were. You sure were. And I have a jade roller too. I probably should have used that. So this is kind of a dark message. I was talking to Spirit and I was like, when are we gonna get past the dark messages? Um you said, see, that's what I'm talking about. Right. So the message that I was getting was that like I was seeing a water slide and I was hearing pressure cooker. And so it felt like Spirit was saying, thank you for the gifts. Felt like Spirit was saying, like the water slide is, excuse me, um, like a descending emotions, and emotion, like descending emotions rapidly going into a pressure cooker. And all of that has to do with yes, diamonds are created under pressure. But that's what I was getting ready to say is that having to like be rapidly taken through a time period of transformation because if you know anything about pressure cookers, it cooks food under pressure so that it cooks faster. So like say I love oxtails. Say you're trying to cook oxtails where normally in a regular pot it may take you hours to cook it. And a pressure cooker is going to transform that meat from raw to cooked and also make the gravy and everything that comes along with those oxtails in a much shorter period of time because it's under pressure. And a lot of times this scenario happens when someone gets to the point where Spirit is like, all right, we got to speed this shit up because you playing games, you about to get yourself into a whole nother situation that could potentially derail you from your path for years, could possibly cause you to completely miss your blessing. And so that like kind of transformed into this love reading where so spirit has been dealing with me specifically about learning to be more vulnerable in relationships because I really have, as much as I can get on here and talk, I really have a hard time verbalizing how I feel, um, essentially being vulnerable in a relationship because I feel like because I don't waste words, I pride myself on not just talking about bullshit. Now, if I have to make small talk like in a business setting or something like that, um then that would, you know, I'll make small talk in business environments. But for the most part, even when I was younger, I was always very quiet and observant. And so when I spoke, even as a child, people would be like, "Oh goddamn! Like, did she just say that?" You know, I would say very prolific things even as a child because I was so observant and I would watch people, I would watch how they moved and interacted. And I've always had these gifts. And so it's the same for the collective. Like you've always possessed these gifts. So it's not something new to you. It's just it takes on a different connotation because as a child speaking to adults, like basically reading adults and calling people out as a child is very frowned upon, especially if you grew up in a family like mine where my parents were much older. My dad was 40 when I was born. My mom was in her mid 30s. And um, so they grew up in a generation where children are seen and not heard, and they should not be, you know, being fresh with their mouth or whatever and saying certain things to adults. And so I think that a lot of us experienced those situations where we were using our gifts and reading people and didn't mean any harm, but we would just say things and observe things about people and bring light to their darkness and would be shut down. And so that's where some of the blockages occur. And I use the word blockages lightly because I really, you know, I feel like blockages are just a mindset basically. Um and so when you have a lot of rejection, that translates to other areas. So as a child, if you were, you know, bubbly and outgoing and, you know, very animated and dramatic, and instead of the family embracing those things about your personality and loving you for who you are authentically, people would be like, "Sit down, shut up, what are you doing? You got too much energy, you're acting too wild, you this, you too that, you this." And then also too would stifle you speaking your truth because it wasn't a child's place in their mind. And so all of that really translates to rejection, and it puts us in a place where we don't want to be our authentic selves because we feel like it's inappropriate or will be rejected, or you know, it's just something taboo that shouldn't be done. And so that then translates to romantic relationships. Also too, like in my mind, being vulnerable and saying what it is that I want to say to the person, um, I feel like it puts me in a place where I feel like the person will use it against me, or puts me in the energy of, um, like, what if this person rejects me and I've said all of this stuff to them that they can, like, you know, um, I mean, using it against me would be playing with my emotions after saying what I had to say. But there's like a part of me doesn't want to put my emotions out there and then allow that person to like leave me behind after having been so vulnerable and move on to someone else, if that makes any sense. Um, yeah, I would say somewhat misunderstood. That definitely would be part of it because I do feel like I have largely been misunderstood when I say stuff. And I find myself feeling the need to explain myself or like, yeah, basically explain myself because somebody will misinterpret what I'm saying. But what I've had to come to realize is that, like I posted something earlier where it talked about people interpret what you're saying through their lens. So I could be saying something very clearly, but then because of the person on the receiving end of what I'm saying is listening, not to comprehend, but listening to respond or listening to give their input or listening to um, like feel like they need to be right, then that person is going to interpret what I'm saying through their lens of their experiences. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, like being unheard is, people not really listening to what it is you're saying. Like, and especially if the person is already on the defensive. If the person is like comes into the conversation already with their guard up and already, prepared to um try to be right, basically, like what I was saying, the need to be right, the need to control the conversation or the narrative or the outcome or whatever. And so me not wanting to be vulnerable is in essence trying to control the outcome in a way, because like I come into the situation with my guard up, like, okay, well, if I don't put too much out there, then they won't have as much to take from me if and when they leave. But at the same time, it's kind of like playing a sport. Like if you don't leave everything on the field, then you may have regrets if you lose. So it's a catch 22 because it's like, okay, well, if the person doesn't know how I feel and maybe they move on to someone else because they don't know how I feel and they think that I don't really like them that much. And that's one thing about being um a really laid back person. Like I've always been a very chill, laid back person. So it's not really out of my character to be hyped up, but like more times than not, I'm like this. I'm very calm, even keeled. It's hard for me to be excited about something and not like excited in a happy way, but kind of, sort of. Like I'm just super chill. Um, Even when like in a crisis, I will still remain calm in crisis, but I may freak out or break down at a later time when I'm alone or whatever. And so, there's pluses and minuses to being like that. But one of the minuses in relationships to being like that is being too chill, too laid back, too nonchalant, where the person, like I said, doesn't know how you feel about them, and then they walk away to someone else who ends up being in a situation like they'll walk away to what gets to my next point, which is really a placeholder. It's not the person that they're supposed to be with, it's not their divine counterpart. It's just the person who is maybe more childlike, more willing to be vulnerable, more willing to express themselves, more willing to be the chaser. And especially like with the male female dynamic, there's a lot of women out here who are willing to chase a man, especially if they see that this person, has leadership qualities, is financially stable, checks off a lot of boxes. And it gets to the point where a lot of times these people know that they're not really healed enough to be in a relationship with this person long term. They know that their personality isn't developed enough to maintain a relationship. These people may even have personality disorders. And so when you like when and I'm just going to speak from like a general perspective, and Eternal Life or any other male that's watching can chime in. But it just seems like when men are put in a position where it's easier to, like when it's just easy, when it's the easier route, when it's a female that puts it all out there and they don't have to be as vulnerable or work as hard to get past this person's barriers or whatever, that's the optimal choice between the two people. So the person, the divine feminine or masculine that may be a little bit more challenging to get past their walls, that actually may have been the person that you should be with once you get past those barriers. Not saying that it's totally okay for those people to bring those barriers to the relationship either, but I'm just saying that when faced with those two options, a lot of times people will go with the easier option, basically. Um, but that then puts the person in like a situation where the easier route is typically the placeholder position. And so, nobody really wants to think of themselves as being a placeholder. But I know that I've been in the placeholder position before. That's definitely not something that I'm proud of or wear as a badge of honor by any means. But sometimes what happens is there's different relationships, challenges, circumstances, situations that people have to go through in order to be prepared for their divinely appointed relationship. And when I say that, I don't mean that there's only one person that fits that responsibility. There could be multiple energies that could potentially be in that role. But a lot of times they may just take the easier route and go a different way. And everybody has free will. We can't control how people make decisions. And sometimes we can be the barrier to them making a good decision. So there's just so many dynamics to relationships, especially romantic relationships. Um, and sometimes people will have like separation anxiety, if you will. And so it'll be hard for that person to be by themselves in between relationships. It's very uncomfortable for that person to be in that type of predicament. And so sometimes spirit will allow a placeholder to be the catalyst for the person to get out of a bad marriage or get out of a bad long-term relationship. But that person is just supposed to be the catalyst. But then sometimes the individual that's just supposed to have this person as a catalyst to move them out of that relationship, they'll go too far with the person. Like you know, getting engaged to a damn placeholder or getting a placeholder pregnant or something like that. And so that kind of ties back into what I was talking about, where spirit has to sometimes take people down a water slide of emotions into a pressure cooker in order to create an environment where they are forced to transform and make decisions under pressure versus just casually, because they keep doing the same thing over and over again. And a lot of times these divine unions are very healing relationships. So even if the two people have their own set of issues, and we're not talking about like drug use, drug abuse, and domestic violence and stuff like that. We're just talking about like maybe trust issues or abandonment issues or separation anxiety, things that can be worked out between two people that have the energy to help to heal each other by creating an environment of trust and by creating a bond. And so when people that need that healing energy from that divine union keep getting with people who are only supposed to be temporary placeholders and creating like long-term relationships out of those placeholders, it just takes much longer to get to the finish line. And when I say finish line, I mean like the finish line of that particular cycle, whatever they're having to deal with to get through in order to get to their divine union. Um, and so, you know, the pressure cooker phase is very is a, you know, a true determining factor, because what happens is there could, like, let's just say there's a divine feminine who's ready to be in a relationship with her divine masculine. Well, there could be two divine masculines that are placed in the pressure cooker at the same time, and one can make it out before the other one, and winner winner chicken dinner. So, you know, whereas you could have been the one first in line if you had handled the pressure cooker differently, this other person beat you to the punch. And that's how there ends up being a lot of damn hurt feelings. A lot of damn hurt feelings. Okay. And all I'm saying is I need my man to come on and get me. Cause I've been waiting patiently for a good 4 years now, at least. And I'm only saying 4 years because I've been in, like seemingly long term relationships, but at the end of the day, they really were just placeholders because there were things about those people that I couldn't see myself with long term. Right. Please come get us now. So if I'm with somebody, and that's one thing that I've learned about relationships. And one thing about me is I'm very upfront and honest with the person. If I don't see anything long term, then I will say that and give them the option to still stay and just be present in the moment and enjoy our time together, knowing that it may not translate into something long term, or move on. Because I'm not here to play games with people. And sometimes that can be scary to people all in itself because most times people are used to people not telling the truth up front. They're not used to people being brutally honest. They're not used to people standing in their truth. And they're not used to people being mature enough to say, you know, we can just enjoy each other, and if it ends up going somewhere, it goes somewhere, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. um and it's taken me a long time to get to that point because I've always been of the mindset that, like, I only want to be with one person. I only want to have long-term relationships. I want to be married, and it has to progress like this. It has to look like this. It has to be this, and that. I was one of those people where I was like, I didn't want a bunch of mileage on me. So I'm still not the type of person that's gonna be just out here dating multiple people because, first of all, I don't have the time or energy to spread myself thinly among multiple men at one time. Like, if I'm with somebody, I'm going to be with that person for at least that time period and just focus on that one person. And I know that, like the relationship gurus, they speak against the concept of like, well, let's just see where it goes. So I'm speaking from the standpoint of, if I know this person is a placeholder, like for instance, I dated someone and no lie, that was one of the best relationships I've ever had. We didn't argue much. When we did argue, we didn't stay mad for long. We had very similar tastes. We had a similar sense of humor, so we could just laugh about stuff. And he complimented me well because he loved to cook. I didn't really like to cook. um Look, the adult action was like perfect. Chef's kiss. Okay. But the problem was there was not enough hustle involved. So if I'm out here working multiple jobs, but you complaining about the one job you have, and then you really pissed off because you got to work a second job because you got child support, I don't see a future in that. we can enjoy each other for the moment, but I don't see a future in that. Now, if he had the drive and the hustle that I could get with, I would like we would have been locked in forever. Period. Because he was one of those people that fully accepted me for who I was, and all of the different aspects about me. I felt totally comfortable, because I have insecurities about my body and getting older and things like that. And he made me feel totally comfortable. And I know, like, listening to myself describe the situation, I know people are like, well, what the hell? Why did you? But I'm very serious about making something out of nothing, because I've talked about this before, where there was a time period when I was really in the struggle with trying to raise my kids as a divorced person. And I just can't, like, I'm not going to be out here getting it out the mud and just, grinding it out and doing whatever it is I need to do to make sure these kids are straight. And I got somebody that's complaining, and your first job isn't that taxing, but then you mad because you got a cake part-time job. Like, it was that type of mentality. I need somebody that I can build with. And it's not so much about like your assets, your credit score, and what your stock portfolio looks like or whatever. I need to know that I can build with you, and you gonna grind it out with me for as long as we need to grind, until we get to a point where we can just sit back and chill. And I don't want to hear the complaining, none of that shit. Because I may have like struggled with being tired and struggle with not eating properly, or being, out of shape, or not exercising and things like that. But when it came to making sure my kids had electricity, water, food, I'm not sitting around complaining about shit, because that would have just made it worse. And when I say I was working multiple jobs, I was working multiple jobs, 3 or more jobs at one time. And I know it seems humanly impossible, but I made that shit work. So, um, yeah, that's a message for somebody, because, like, and the one thing that I really learned from that situation, and a situation where I dated someone that was much younger than me, um, I could have married the person that was much younger than me. It wasn't the age that was a factor. It was the immaturity, in some areas. Some areas he was very mature and responsible, but like, as far as doing the healing work, dealing with childhood trauma, um, just a lot of the internal work. And I felt like my energy was just being completely drained. Like, I would sleep next to him in the bed, and I will wake up exhausted, like I had not slept a minute. And that's how you know that someone is draining the fuck out of your energy. And like, I don't even think that he was really doing it with intention. A lot of people aren't doing these things with specific intention. They're doing it because, like, my energy is so big and powerful that energetically this person is like attaching to my energy and like sitting in my energy and embedding their energy into my energy. And from a human conscious standpoint, they don't even know what's happening. But for me, for like, I didn't even know what was happening initially because I hadn't really awakened at that point. But once I awakened and once I understood like how much healing energy I possess and how, and then when I realized how long he was sitting in my energy, even after years of being apart and cord cutting and all this other stuff, um, like one thing about him was that he was very, was a natural born leader and very, so a lot of times people that are like that, they are successful because they lock in on stuff. So he would like um obsess almost over certain things, like if, because he played an instrument and he also was like, in music videos and things like that, like you have to kind of be like that in your mind state in order to like learn routines really quickly, because literally he would get called for the Super Bowl or get called for a tour or get called for a music video and have to learn a routine in like hours. And so when you're put in positions like that where you have to learn stuff really quickly, you do have to kind of obsess. You have to be OCD about stuff. And then on top of that, you're having to put yourself in a position where you have to be somewhat of a perfectionist because this artist is, or whoever is paying you to be precise with that shit and not have to take a long time to learn. That's why they call certain people for these jobs. And so I know that he was the type of person that would lock in on me, and like even after we were apart, just by still looking at pictures or whatever, like staying in my energy, in the memory of me, in the memory of us, like that keeps people in your energy. So when you get readings and you have multiple people in your energy, but you like, what the hell? I did a whole ass cord cutting. I've done, cleansing baths. I've done all kinds of different things to try to get this person out of my energy. And trust me, if anybody can get somebody out of their energy, it would be me, because I incorporate my spirit team and my higher self and the archangels heavy. So even if I didn't do not one cord cutting or not one spiritual bath or anything like that, just by me asking for the help of these energies to rid me or cleanse me, or cleanse my energy and aura, there was a specific reason why the divine allows certain people to remain in my energy. And then also too, what we don't always understand is that certain people are a part of our energy. And so there are just certain people that may never leave our energy because maybe we're soulmates or have some other kind of past life connection. Because, like, I keep telling people, there are reincarnated ancient deities walking around in human vessels. That is some very powerful energy. And the person I'm talking about, I know we have a lot of past lives together. I know that he holds very powerful energy. He just doesn't realize it and is not healing and transmuting that energy in a way that would create positive movement forward for him. And so when you're dealing with somebody that's like that, you could be so intricately connected to that person that that person is just always going to be a part of you. And then what ends up happening is you end up like in the process of you healing, so that person comes into your life as like a mirror or a reflection of what it is that you need to heal. And that's kind of now I'm kind of speaking to the twin flame journey. And so when that person becomes a part of your experience as far as being a mirror for you or a catalyst to force you to heal, because what would happen with relationships is that I would see things about a particular person and I would be like, nah, I don't like that shit. And then I would be forced to look at myself and forced to say, like, what is it about me that attracted this person to me? What is it about me that I need to look at that this person is showing me about me? And that takes a lot of spiritual and emotional maturity. Yep, the mirror. And so that's what we need to understand. And so that just speaks to the point that we can try to block people and do cord cuttings and eliminate people from our energy, but there will still be an element that we need to heal. Like, we still are connected to that person energetically for whatever reason. And so if we don't heal that part of us, then it's still going to be a problem. So as much as you don't want to do the work for somebody else, because when you're intricately connected to someone like that, when you do the healing work, it heals them simultaneously. So they don't have to do the work in that area necessarily. They can heal those parts of them as a result of you healing. That doesn't mean that their other vices or issues that they're dealing with are going to be healed automatically, but it does mean that the parts of you that are mirroring that person and the parts of you that connect you to that person are healing. And a lot of times we have soul contracts with these energies just for that reason, so that you can recognize that you need to heal that part of you. You said fact. Sometimes their energy may show up in someone else. Right. So, Lotus, were you on live talking about this earlier? This was yesterday? Okay. I missed the first part of your live, so did you post it on YouTube already? Oh my God. Excuse me. Okay. So yeah, I've been trying to catch up posting my lives on YouTube. I'm on like, I think I'm on November 26th. So I still got a little ways to go. But now let me just be clear. If I meet somebody that checks off all of my boxes and I can see me being married to this person, and especially if I can see myself having that person's baby at this age, honey, you want to talk about somebody that will be locked in and ready to go to Vegas and elope tomorrow. Let's talk about that shit. Look, as long as you're not doing anything illegal. Now, for a situation like that, you got to have your shit together, like financially and all that stuff. I'm not doing struggle love any longer. Okay, we're not doing the struggle love. Hey, you say you gotta invite me. It just depends. If it's a real wedding, you'll be invited. If we go to the damn Chapel of Love on the strip in Vegas, it's just gonna be me and him. Shoot, cause fuck around with me, I'll be on the plane. Cause now that I'm tapped in with my higher self and my spirit team, if they tell me it's a go, I ain't got to figure out who you are or anything like that. I really don't. Like, that's how much faith and trust I have in my spirit team. Because I know that they will not lead me astray. And when it comes down to it, I will trust them 1000% on who it is that I should be with. And I'll figure out the details afterwards. And I know that sounds a little reckless. But look, as long as I'm physically attracted, as long as the intimacy is right and we're compatible in that area, and shit, because my higher self knows what and who I want better than I know. And they would never put me in a situation, Lord, and the song on is I'm a dog, I'm a mutt. What the hell? He said, I see past pretty faces, so I got trouble trusting, but I'll let my guard down for you. Said I'll be vulnerable, so you can break my heart if you want to. But this is the thing. Like I said, before, when I wasn't as tapped in or understood that I could trust my intuition, I would not have done that. But now that I know that I can just like holler at my higher self and be like, we good. And if we good, I'm good. Because I promise you, I was in a relationship with my ex-husband for 8 years. I was married to him for 4 years. So a total of 12 years. And I did not know who this nigga was until we got divorced. Or was in the process of the divorce. So there's nobody on this green earth that can tell me, oh, you really got to get to know the person. You need to wait And like the song is saying, she said, take your time, what's the rush? And you know, like I don't have to rush, but I'm just saying that, like I said, if everything checks off and there's no domestic violence, and my spirit team is saying, damn, that song was written by Chris Brown. Well, one of the writers. But if my spirit team says it's a go, I already know that I'm not gonna have to worry about domestic violence and love bombing and narcissism and all of that stuff. Like, relationships are going to have regular relationship stuff, but all that stuff that I had to deal with in past relationships, I already know that the person that my spirit team has for me is not going to be doing none of that shit. So that I will not have to worry about. Oh my God! Excuse me. Thank you for liking the live, Eternal Life. We've been running the likes up the whole time. And thank you, Lotus, for the likes. Well, Spirit has spoken. Ooh! I said, take your time, what's the rush? So we coming out of, like I was saying, coming out of isolation, hermit mode, having shined a light on your situation, and ready to mingle, being single and mingling, okay? And this is coming out of that energy of being with people who are not ready, who are in this star energy, but very codependent, not doing the healing work. So there's, you know, a lot of hopelessness and despair, and just being, you know, an energy vampire. Coming out of this energy of having to fight in relationships, and that's what I was talking about, like trusting the divine to know that they would not put you back into a relationship with someone that is in this star energy in reverse. And I've been talking about divine unions, and so, you know, the devil card doesn't have to mean oppression and codependency and unhealthy attachments and things like that. This is just an indication that you have a divine connection. And this is also what I was talking about, like balancing. Well, I talk about a lot balancing the masculine and feminine within, but I've also talked about that two people who are supposed to be in a divine union and destined to be together, they're always going to come back to each other. So however that looks, there could be for some people. So I will say for specific divine beings, like the reincarnated deities that I was talking about, for certain beings that are on this planet for a very high calling and specific purpose, there is one person that you will always come back to, because you all are fulfilling a prophecy. So there's different levels to this shit now. I try to generalize the message a little bit more, but for the most part, I talk to a collective of very high ranking spiritual beings. And so when you have a high calling, a specific purpose, when you are fulfilling a prophecy with someone, when it is destined for you to have a divine being, when you're supposed to be producing a divine being from the union, that's different. And so, just like how the Lover's card has, like, what I would consider the divine or source in this position, is just showing a contrast of light and dark. So in this instance, this is the two people working out the darkness within them to get to the Lover's position. But that doesn't mean that the two people have changed. It's still two people in a situation. It's still a masculine and feminine. It's still energies that need to be balanced. And Spirit said, we got it covered. We got it covered. When that divine person comes along, you can rest assured that your spirit team is not going to have you in no jacked up situation like this. Or, like this. Or like this. Like, they're not about to have you... they're not about to have you in no jacked up predicament. Okay? So, and we have new beginnings, new opportunities. And I think I had that card turned around for a reason. I don't know. But, coming out of the energy of feeling left in the cold, and that's what I was talking about earlier as well, is being more vulnerable in relationships. Because, like I said, you can not be vulnerable and get left out in the cold, and you can be vulnerable and feel left out in the cold. So might as well put it all out there. And I'm talking to myself as well. But it's much easier said than done. But and also Spirit is like, this person is not about to be lazy. Like I was talking about how the person that I was, that I really liked, that I could have seen myself with if it just wasn't for that aspect of being lazy and not being focused. Because in order to be a leader from the masculine perspective and being that provider and protector, you can't be complaining about having to go get it how you live. And that's where faith comes in, because I knew that even though I was having to get it out the mud for a time period, I would maybe cry about it sometimes. I would, but I was in constant communication with my spirit guides and my spirit team, and my faith kept me going and kept me in the game, so to speak, with regard to, like, I know this is not life. This is not the end for me. This is not like my final destination. This is not all life has for me. And I'm going to get, like, if you have the attitude that you're going to get everything this life has for you, no matter what, then that is the place that you need to be at all times. Is like, even though life looks a certain way, it doesn't have to always be like this. It absolutely does not. Excuse me. And the song on is Just Breathe, Let It Go. Hi, Pookie. You being such a good boy. You being sweet. You being sweet, Bubbash. What, you talking about yawning? Child, I got to pray. I need to pray that I can get a good night's sleep so I can wake up refreshed. Thank you for the gifts. Yeah, child. But I know you had a full day today. And you still got children at the house, honey. If I had kids at home, it'd be a totally different situation. Because I be coming home, cooking, getting homework done, making sure they was, getting their clothes ready. Alright, so what else do we need to know about the channel message? We got the lovers out here. We got the 15 and 16 cards, the lovers and thoughts. And I was talking about looking at pictures and see the picture in the background with the thoughts. And we also got imprisonment out here, so I need some clarification. I have a feeling it's being locked up in thoughts. Like past lovers. Well, also, too, I was talking about not doing that inner child work. So, people can be entrapped in their childhood, trapped in their past. Yeah, not getting on the path of their destiny because they're so focused on the past. And that, relates to what I was talking about, just ruminating on the past, um, obsessing about the past. When meanwhile, Spirit's trying to get you on this path to your divine lover. And we had the courthouse in reverse. So Spirit is like, if you don't get out of that damn past stinking thinking, it's gonna be difficult for justice and balance. The song said, take my chances before they pass me by. The song said, oh darling, you need to look at the other side. The cars is going right in alignment with the music. And like I was talking about earlier, these false people are the placeholders. They not your true divine union. That divine union is set in stone. These false people are just people to show you aspects of yourself that you need to heal. And that goes right in alignment with, like, you know, needing to look at childhood, needing to look at inner child work that needs to be done, and these false people will be a reflection of that. You said, I like to call them the substitutes, right? He said, they try and tell me I don't fit up in this motherfucker. Oh my God. Yeah, Spirit is like, your divine person is not supposed to be a whole lot of work. It's supposed to be ease. You know, like, yes, relationships do require a certain degree of work, but when it's that person that just gets you, when it's that person that's just really for you, it should not be a bunch of work. It shouldn't be anything hard. It should just be like, you know, y'all have a conversation where it's like, yo, let's go to Jamaica this weekend. And then be like, bet, let's go. You know, it doesn't have to be a, well, I gotta do this and I gotta do that and I don't have this and I don't have that. How we gonna do that? Because the flights is gonna be too high. You know, just all that shit that regular people do. I'm not trying to be on no regular people shit. Nah. We not on no regular people timelines. Like, I'm on some shit like, let's just take a carry-on with some toiletries and we can buy clothes when we get there. Hell. You said as soon as I even fix my mouth, he's gonna be like, ma'am, mind your business. Mind your Yeah, look, if my man tell me we about to go out of town this weekend, just tell me when I need to be ready and what I need to bring. Cause if we just gonna be naked the whole time, then all I need is my toiletries. Okay. You said, look, because I can get all that when I get it. Exactly. If we just gonna go and be at the all-inclusive resort in the room with the jacuzzi and the pool, and we don't have to go anywhere. We got a butler that can bring us food and anything that we need. All I need is my birthday suit. Okay. Thank you. You said with the swim out pool, exactly. Cause look, I'm trying to be naked in the pool, naked in the naked in the jacuzzi. If you have a question, you can pay for a question. Child, why do people do that? Why do people do that? That is so fucking disrespectful. I just be wanting to fucking fly away when people do that shit. Cause I've seen lives where it'll like the person will use their board to say free readings or something like that, or free questions with gifts and stuff like that. Like, don't come up in here with a fucking long ass username. You don't even have a real profile asking me some damn fucking question. Ugh. People don't even know. Like, when people be disrespectful like that. Exactly. Like, the prices are right there. That's crazy. Cause I know that people do it. Like, I've actually run up on a live where the person's face isn't even on the live. It's just a damn board that says, you know, they doing free questions or whatever. Like, to each his own. I used to do free questions too. But if you know that I've made it clear that this is not that type of live, get on up out of here with that shit. And the song on now is Intuition. Folk need to use their intuition before they come up in here talking crazy. He said, that's all right. I will start blocking them expeditiously. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh! And the first card out is Heart Guardian, Love, and Let Yourself Be Loved. And that's what we were talking about, being vulnerable. And then we have Earth Guardians, stay rooted and grounded. And when you stay rooted and grounded and vulnerable at the same time, that helps to protect your heart, is what Spirit is saying. Like, you don't have to worry about being heartbroken or, you know, worry about being devastated by rejection when you stay grounded at the same time. And green is also associated with the heart chakra. The red that she has on is associated with the root chakra. So they're basically interchangeable. And we have summer, bask in joy and light. And I talk about how it's the female bee that builds the hive. Bees building a hive is a joint effort where people are working together to build something. And it's also the sound of source, which is pure love. And we have winter, take care of your needs. Having a dog could be significant. And we have moon, take note of intuitive messages. And the song on is intuition. Take note of intuitive messages. Do not be fooled by the shadows of the placeholders. Earth Mother, feel loved and comforted. This is all about love here. It's all about love. Trust your talents in changing times. So this is all about taking a chance. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable in relationships, you are taking a leap of faith. You are absolutely having to trust yourself during changing times, during uncertain times, because we all know that we cannot control the outcome of relationships. We cannot manipulate and control people's free will. Now, some people will argue that you can through spell work and all that other nonsense, but that creates a whole other set of nonsense. And when you start doing that to try to manipulate people, especially if it's a divine being, their spirit team will eliminate you. So, like, I don't even worry about people doing stuff like that to me, like trying to hold on to me as far as relationships, because my spirit guides are not going to allow it. They just not. And again, we already had pay attention to your intuition, and then we have wait for important messages. She said, I need a man who's looking out with some security. So come correct with some respect, and then we'll see. Okay. So if you with it, then drop the 7 digits, and I might just give you a call. If you ain't with it, then don't waste your time at all. Live is clocked. He said playing with folks' free will get you an automatic. Facts. Why not allow someone to act on their own free will? Exactly. That's cheating to me. Shift your perception. That's even more talking about trust and intuition and taking a risk. You know, calculated risks are important, because if we don't step out on faith and take risks, then like I said, if we don't leave everything on the field, then we'll never know if there was a chance or not. So shifting our perception about how we look at the situation and how we perceive the outcome, and staying grounded is what is, because like I know that a lot of times when I would be like have a lot of anxiety about relationships, or be concerned about what the person is doing, and like the person may have triggered my trust issues and things like that. It's because I wasn't grounded. It's because I didn't trust myself. It was because I wasn't trusting the divine. And look, the card that popped up, warrior, be fearless and stand strong. This shit out here ain't for the weak. And if you want that real relationship, you better know it's gonna take some damn some intestinal fortitude. Cause I have had my feelings hurt many times after I made myself vulnerable. I remember one time in specifically where I completely crashed out because I had made myself vulnerable to this person. And it was a situation where we had been talking for years, and then he had been talking about marriage. And at one point I was like, I don't think you're ready. And that really messed him up because he felt rejected. Then some time passed. Then we came back together. And then I just put it all out there. And his reaction was the fucking worst. And when you want to talk about somebody being crushed, I was like, oh my, I was in my apartment crashing the fuck out. So and that incident just made me want to ball up in my shell. Like go right back up into my shell. The song said, all I need is somebody to ride with, cause I'm a go-getter. The type of girl that got you cause I want you, not cause I need you. Excuse me. Sarah, what else does the collective need to know before I get off of here? He said she don't want drinks no more if you ain't bringing dough to the table. And that's facts. I just said that. I'm not doing no more struggle love. We have a fiery climax approaching, so whatever this relationship is going to be like, it's going to have a lot of passion. And Spirit said, both of y'all is going to seem like the GOAT to each other, the greatest of all time when it comes to that bedroom action, honey. I'm ready. I'm with it. You and your loved ones are safe. That's exactly what I was talking about. Safe to be vulnerable. Safe to trust the divine's direction and guidance. Conclusions are within reach. So this person is coming in. It is time. Spirit said, you've been patient enough. Adjustments are required, and that's what we've been talking about. Being vulnerable, taking a chance, taking a risk, putting yourself out there. atmosphere. How long we gotta wait? Emotions are running high. It says super moon. Are we about to have a super? Aren't we about to? When we about to have a? It's a new moon coming up, or is it a super moon? We just had a super moon. Well, damn. Work through your fears. And that's new moon in Scorpio. So I feel like that's the answer to my question. The next new moon. Didn't we say it was around the 16th? We have a new moon on Friday in Sagittarius. Okay. So I would definitely say that's confirmation that this person's coming in pretty quickly. It's time to release negativity. Leave the past behind. Like I was talking about how that incident where I was seemingly rejected, it put me in a place where I just, wanted to hold on to the negativity. Step out of your comfort zone. Sit back and ride when I feel like driving. Now he said sometimes I gotta sit back and ride when I feel like driving. And that's basically surrendering to the divine, surrendering to divine timing, surrendering to the fact that they got the right person coming towards you. And tomorrow is 12/16, and that's when the energy of the new moon starts. Okay. So yeah, and we talked about like the 8 days ago, we were saying that the person was coming in 8 days, which is tomorrow. A new start is coming. Yay! And there's a lot of purple out here on the table, and that's royalty. That's a divine union. That's past life energy. Honey, get ready, get ready, get ready. He said, you're not like the other girls I meet every day. You stay down with them. He said, you stay down like them girls from around the way. Oh, I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed. Right now. So, yeah. You say down like them girls from around the way. And Onyx back here grunting. Onyx, what you grunting about? What you grunting about, Bubby? You cock blocking? There's no excuse me. Spirit, can you give me the timeline? I didn't say Siri. Siri giving me the damn current time. Oh shit. Well, so we got the Nine of Wands in reverse. So when we basically had the Eight of Wands to tell us 8 days, and then we got the Nine of Wands in reverse. So I feel like Spirit is like the time is now. The time is upon us. The wait is over. Spirit is like, there's really no need to call judgment on this situation because it's the one that we have for you. The tower moment that y'all had to experience in order to get y'all right is already completed. We coming out of that hangman energy. No more stalling, no more waiting. He said, I was found forever. So with every step, Lord, I take closer and closer. Closer and closer. And this song got me through some hard times. You hear me? And we got the Nine of Cups. So this person is coming in with lots of love, balance, equal give and take. Bringing in, just adding to your peace. I'm hearing, okay? And the divine is all up in it. And we don't mean traditional religion, but we talk about marriage. And I'm hearing baby carriage for some of y'all. Okay. And Spirit is like, this is a love that's here to stay. It's all yours. You don't have to share it with anybody. This person is going to hold your heart near and dear, is going to give you words of encouragement and affirmation, is going to value you, is going to see the value of what you come to the relationship with. And this person is not going to expect you to have to pour out your money into the situation. This person is for the women in the situation. This person is a provider and a protector. Okay. You will be allowed to keep your money and do as you please. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that you gotta be like, oh, we're not gonna build together. I'm not gonna contribute to us building this empire together. But it just means that you're not gonna have to worry about money. You're not gonna have to worry about having to work. Spirit is saying, like, if you really just want to be somebody that stays at home and works on building your business and your brand and all of that, it's not going to be something that you're going to have to worry about. This person is going to invest in you. Thank you. I knew you was gonna have something to say, Lotus. Take it as it resonates. Take it as it resonates. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. You're all I need. He said, you're all I need. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. Oh my God. Didn't I say it was going to be some passionate love, that love that you never had before? I'm ready. I'm here for it. I need that. I need all of that. I've been single and I have been, well, I can't say that I've been completely holding my mule, but for the most part, I have held my mule. Okay. He said, unfortunately, it's been on my heels, literally. Honey. The song said, if you get someone you like, feel something that's right, somebody just tell somebody, build you up. Build you up. Where'd it go? Build you up, not tear you down. And this song is definitely a past life divine union song, because this was a recurring song during my awakening, and it was connected to like my divine union. And honey, this been 5 years coming. So like what movie was that? I think that was the Eddie Murphy movie where he was like something about blowing your head off. She said, just be my lover. Boy, you lead me to paradise. Okay? I'm going to need him to come on and blow my head off. Say hi. Say hi, Auntie Lotus. Say hi, Auntie Lotus. Look, Bubba. Now he want to smell me. He said, yeah, eyes rolling back at all. You hear me? All right, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will see y'all later. Good night. You said, don't talk me through it either. I want him to talk me through it. Shoot. Talk me through it.